Hello and welcome back to another edition of the One-on-One Sports Webcast. We have a whole slate of sports to talk to you about today, so let's get right to it. We're going to kick us off with Tyler and Carter here, talk about a little bit of football. There's a lot wrong with the NFL right now, boys. And so we're going to play a little game called What's Wrong. And so to start us off, Tyler, tell me what the heck is wrong with the Philadelphia Eagles?
Well, I think the main problem with the Eagles lies in the offensive line alongside Sam Bradford. He only has 6 touchdowns and 4 interceptions for the year. That's just not getting it done. He's lacking confidence throwing the ball. He hasn't been scrambling well in the pocket. He's not attempting enough shots downfield. He's holding on to the ball too much. And as a result of that, he's been sacked 5 times this past game. Although this past game against the Redskins, he did throw the ball deep more. He was much more aggressive, and he had 3 touchdowns, no interceptions in the second half. He hit Riley Cooper for a 62-yard TD, following a missed throw deep on the previous play. So I just think he has to continue to be aggressive, even if he takes a shot and misses it.
So, I mean, yeah, he's been playing better in recent weeks. What do you think about that, Carter?
I think the biggest problem here is the rushing game. They're ranked 30th in the league. DeMarco Murray only getting 29 touches this season, 47 yards, compared to last season when he had 99 rushes for 534 yards at this point in the season.
No, through the first couple of weeks of the season, he's been one of the worst running backs in the league, which is crazy for a superstar like that.
Exactly.
They got problems at quarterback, problems at running back.
Right.
Just terrible all around. So now we're going to move south. We're going to talk about the Dolphins. Carter, tell me what's wrong with them.
I think the Dolphins' biggest problem was Joe Philbin, and they got rid of him. So I applaud them, the administration, would you call it?
No. Administration, higher-up
for
management.
the higher-up management for getting rid of him. Their obvious culture problems. The D-line, one of the most talented D-lines in the whole league, only 1 sack in 4 games. I think the whole problem, or the biggest problem, was changing the culture of the locker room, and I think that starts with hiring Dan Campbell.
So you think it's moving in the right direction?
Yeah, he's going to come in and do well.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean, Joe Philbin obviously had no control of the locker room or at practice. There's been a report of Ryan Tannehill getting into it with a teammate or with teammates at practice after they've been like picking off his passes in practice, and apparently Philbin told the defense to lay off a little. And I don't think that's good for the competitive environment. You're never going to get better as a team.
Yeah, honestly, you know, they have so many talented players down there. It comes down to the culture and the coaching and the management. You know, it is moving in the right direction. We'll see if they can figure it out by the end of the year. Now we're going to talk about quarterback. We're going to talk about Colin Kaepernick, you know, a guy who's been very, very good recently, not doing too hot this year. What's wrong with Colin Kaepernick?
I don't think anything's wrong with Kaepernick necessarily. I think it's more the running game and the offensive line of the 49ers. Their offensive line has been terrible after all their losses in the offseason. They didn't add a single decent offensive lineman.
And they lost to offensive linemen. They had the number 1 offensive line in 2012, which is when Kaepernick was really successful. In addition to the offensive linemen, I mean, they lost Jim Harbaugh, who is a quarterback, or he was a quarterback. So I think that helped Kaepernick in the 2012-2013 season, as long as having Vernon Davis in his prime, Anquan Boldin, Michael Crabtree. I think John Tonsula comes in, wants to make Kaepernick a pocket passer. It's not going to work. He's a dual threat QB.
Yeah, you know, in Kaepernick's defense, he is going through that transition with the loss of Jim Harbaugh, who is experiencing success at Michigan, which is great to see.
I'd also argue, though, that Carlos Hyde needs more touches. He only had 8 touches the last game. If they get the running game going, I think a lot of pressure would be taken off Kaepernick.
Yeah, right. It'll be taken off Kaepernick. So we'll see. Now from quarterbacks, we're going to go to the unheralded position on the field in kickers. And we're talking about the Steelers kickers. What is going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers and their kickers?
I think it's not only the Pittsburgh Steelers kickers, but I think like every kicker in the league, except for the obvious elite ones, Justin Tucker, Robbie Gould,
Gostowski.
Gostowski, Vinatieri. I think they're struggling because of the PATs getting moved back. They're not used to seeing the football going through the uprights, and I think that's messing with the kicker's psyche. That along with pressure. I mean, Jacksonville their kicker missed 2 field goals, 1 in regulation and 1 in OT, and that cost them the game.
Yeah, that's rough. What do you think about that, Tyler?
Well, I mean, the Steelers lost 2 kickers in the preseason, and then they acquired Josh Scobie. But apparently Scobie had a quad strain this entire season, so that might have affected his confidence after missing that 49-yarder and that 41-yarder to win the game last Thursday.
Yeah, so for Pittsburgh and teams around the league, it's a rough time for kickers out there, which is too bad to see. All right, that's all the time we have for this block of the One-on-One Sports Webcast, but stay tuned as we talk some baseball.